If you're looking for a big travel bike and you want the biggest bang for your buck, then the Canyon Torque and the YT Capra have to be on your radar. But which one is best? To answer that simple question, we put both bikes head to head. And what a head-to-head test this is. Both bikes cost around 3K, both bikes have aluminium frames, both have 4-bar suspensions, both have Fox performance level suspension components, both have Maxxis tires, and unsurprisingly, both weigh within 100 grams of each other. But Jamie, before we spill the beans, why would anybody want a 170mm travel bike?
Yeah, good question. We were really surprised when we did this test about just how capable they both were. Basically, they are for anybody. Like, loads of people fit into the category of a 170mm travel bike. So you could be a bike park rat and you'd get a lot out of these bikes. You could just go to the old trail center and they work pretty well as a trail bike too.
I mean, we rode these bikes at the bike park.
Yeah.
We rode them on the trails we normally ride. And
Yeah.
I think the takeaway for me was I was absolutely shocked at the level of performance for the price.
Yeah, totally.
Like, they're 3-gram bikes and they're unreal.
Yeah, obviously they descend really well, but we were really surprised at just how well they climbed and how well they did on kind of flowy trails as well. So yeah, everybody. These are bikes kind of for every rider.
Yeah, and now I've noticed that both the bikes in this test are both mullets. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, another good question, because given how good we know, how good 29ers are these days, how well they roll on all kinds of terrain. But we went for the mullet bikes because there's a couple of advantages you get from a mullet wheel. You get a stronger wheel, which is super important when you're talking about a park
Big
bike
travel
like this.
bike.
Yeah, so you basically get a stronger wheel. You're less likely to smash it to smithereens.
For me, like, you're taller than I am,
Yeah,
and
for
like,
sure.
so both of these bikes are XL,
Yeah.
which we'll get to a little bit because there's a difference in the sizing between the Canyon and the YT that's going to come later. I'm shorter than you. I'm 5'11". So the big advantage for me is that I'm not worried about the tire hitting me in the bum, basically, when we're riding the real steep tracks, and you want to ride steep tracks on these bikes.
How often does that happen though when you're riding a 29?
It does happen a bit, yeah. And I think the kind of terrain that you want to take these bikes into, and the kind of jumps you want to do, and the stuff you're going to ride, it probably does encourage it a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
So both bikes are big travel. Both bikes have got aluminium frames. Both bikes cost 3K, roughly. I think a little bit more, like a couple £100 more. But that was the price point for the test. Both use 4-bar suspension. Both are mullets.
There's a lot of similarities going on.
I mean, they're both German.
Yeah, they're both German.
Yeah, they're both direct sales.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing test, isn't it? Because, like, if I was looking for a big travel bike in this category, they're the two ones that are going to be top of my list.
Yeah, these are the two bikes to look at. They are so close. They are so close, it's unbelievable. They're really close in weight as well. They're 16.6 kilograms each.
Which isn't that bad, because like
it's not too bad.
The bikes that the two 5K kind of discounted to 4K trail bikes that I did last month were like 15.5 and just under 16. And they're like 140, 150 bikes.
Yeah, and the most important thing is they've got the switch on the shock, the climb switch, so you can lock them out. So actually when you're pedaling, they've got steep seat angles as well, so actually when you're pedaling, it doesn't feel that
So what numbers are we looking at on this bike in terms of, if someone's looking at this in terms of travel, what are they looking at?
Travel is 175mm on the rear and 170 on the fork.
Front, okay.
But something to take note of though is, so like, we measure all our bikes. Whenever we do a bike test, we measure the geometry, we measure the sizing, and we measure the rear wheel travel as well, like the real world rear wheel travel.
Yeah, vertical travel.
And you get, and it's true, it does come up 175mm, but you're never gonna get all that travel on this bike because
it's too progressive.
It's too progressive, and the bottom up bumper on the shock is huge. It's like the last 10mm, like with the ratchet strap cranking the bike into its suspension.
I mean, I've had the air cans off these shocks, and I've thought about, like, it's like two little donuts.
Yeah, okay.
They're stuck together. It's like a little sort of figure of 8 bumper. And I've thought about just cutting it in half and getting rid of half of it, but then like I don't want to do that to someone's bike and then send it back to them and they're like, why is it bottoming out? And you're like, well, because I cut the bottom out bumper off. But you're right, it's a progressive bike, but that's what gives it, like, it gives it loads of support, it gives it loads of pop. I remember that from riding it by Park Wales, but it also, well, you can say what you thought about it, but I thought it made there was an imbalance on the bike.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we'll talk about the Capra in a bit, but this bike is less well balanced than the Capra. So the shock has tons of support. Like, it feels great whenever you're riding anything where you can push against, like a berm, any kind of little catch berm, any lip, it feels fantastic. But the trade-off is that the fork doesn't have the same kind of feel to it. So I would say it's slightly imbalanced. There isn't enough support from the fork.
So you're looking at a 38 performance level fork. So it's got a grip 1 damper. So yeah, you've got rebound adjustment, and you've got quite a basic kind of compression thing. So it's kind of hard to get. And I think, I mean, I thought the exact same as you. Like when you're hitting big berms and G-outs, when you're hitting G-out stuff, that support kind of feels really good.
Yeah.
But when we rode steeper, more technical trails, it sort of felt like the rear sat up and the front dropped down, and you kind of like all of a sudden, like maybe that's where that bum clearance thing comes really important, because you had to get back more.
Yeah, so you see, you could, if you ride a mellow trail, like the fork is pushing you onto the fork and onto the front tire, so it feels fantastic. And then you tip a little bit steeper and you start going down a steeper chute. It's still doing the same thing, and it's pushing you forwards onto that fork. Yeah. And it can kind of get overwhelmed. So I would say it's crying out for like a grip 2 damp fork. It needs more support.
But in terms of the rest of the specification,
oh man,
that's probably the only criticism, isn't it?
The rest of the spec is killer. Like if we did our tests on a spreadsheet alone, this bike would win, because so it's £3,099, which is £200 cheaper than the YT already. Yeah. So take the tyres, for example. These are premium tyres.
So these are the stock tyres. I mean, we change all the tyres too, but this bike's got the stock tyres on it, which are exactly fit for purpose.
So you get double down casing on the rear, which is kind of pretty much what you want for a bike park bike. And then you get the Exo Plus on the front. Again, like you save a little bit of weight.
Max grip too.
Max grip on the front, and then Max Terror on the rear, so you get a good balance of grip and rolling speed. Like that's amazing. Then the wheels, I thought the wheels were bomb-proof. Like I could check them over after we tested. No dings in them, nothing. Like still true, still perfect. The Shimano, they've gone with the Shimano drivetrain, so it's SLX pretty much everywhere. SLX brakes, SLX drivetrain.
Now the brakes are really impressive, aren't they? The SLX brakes.
The power,
and they seem to be more consistent than some of the higher end units from Shimano. But the drivetrain,
that's kind of, I'd say that's a little bit where it falls apart.
Yesterday you were playing around with it, right?
So we did the test and everything was fine. Like I kind of figured that even though it's noisy, like it ticks away, and I could never get it kind of the silent, smooth running
once
thing.
You're up, when you go higher up the cassette.
Exactly. And it was fun, but it never missed a shift until yesterday when we were filming for this test.
Yeah, I mean, you went to drop in and you couldn't get the gears.
Yeah, and it had come off the jockey wheel, off the top jockey wheel. So you can get this bike with the GX drivetrain. You just have to pay more money. You have to pay £200 more.
So but the other thing is, you just reminded me of something about drivetrains. So when we tested this bike, it was a AL6.
Yeah, this was the AL6. This is the AL6 because it's this color. Yeah. But now, when you're searching for this bike, the AL6 it'll come up as a different bike. The AL6 is now a SRAM-equipped bike. Okay. So this, if you want the same price point or a lower price point? At the same price point. Okay. So if you want this bike now, it's called the AL7. Okay. So that's what you're looking at, basically. A little bit confusing. It is really confusing, yeah. So it's a different color. It's like in an olive green or a gray or something, and that's the AL7. It's a really standout bike. Like I was really, I mean, the XL in this, on the Canyon, is actually genuinely an XL, isn't it? Because it's big. I mean, when I rode it, I was like, JD, this is a big bike, yeah. Yeah, that was the bike. Whereas when I ride the Capra, it feels like in between an L and an XL. So I can ride it, you can ride it. It might even be like, it actually feels like it fits me pretty good. Doesn't feel too big for me. Is this bike available in a wide range of sizes? It's available in a wide range, but this is actually the biggest size. So it comes small to extra large, and this is extra large. And for that you get 505 mil reach, which measured at 505 mil. Which is big. Yeah. Compare that to the Capra. The Capra runs small to extra large, and we tested the extra large. So there's a size above the one that we had. Yeah. So if you are 6'4", there's a bike for you. Yeah, you got somewhere to go. Yeah, yeah. Whereas this is the top size. But you know, it's big. I'd say it's big enough. 505 is big. So Jamie, what I'm getting, kind of impression I got, and the impression you're giving me is that it's a really amazing bike. Yeah. But just to get that last kind of like 5-10% of performance at it, it maybe needs like you need to drop a grip 2 damper in the fork, or you need a better fork. And in fact, the last time I saw you out on this bike,
You had a Fox factory fork on the front of it.
I pinched a fork from another bike to try it out to see how it would work.
So did it feel more balanced with the better fork?
Yes, yeah,
okay.
100%. Like,
brilliant. Then it was worthwhile.
I'd say, you know, obviously, if you put a better fork on a bike, it's going to feel better.
You ride the fork a lot.
But totally, it really rebalanced the bike. So that is what it needs. Like, it's interesting that the Canyon built this bike in response to YT's Capra at that level. So they spec'd it up to match the YT.
Yeah.
And you know, the fact is, it doesn't quite.
And that's really just a result of maybe you either need a slightly more linear feel to the shock or a slightly more progressive, supportive feel to the fork.
Yeah, yeah.
And that would make this bike go from what rating did you give
I gave it a 9.
Okay.
Yeah. Like,
that
would take it to a 10 for sure.
Because, and like, someone might be listening to this or watching it and thinking, oh my God, so you give it a 9, but you said the fork's not very good. But like, the bike's amazing.
We're talking about
we're nitpicking.
Like tiny little bits, like, to make it excellent. Like, it's so good. Like, I remember when we were testing it, you said, I'd have either of these, and it's true.
Actually, what I said to you was, I don't know why or how people make 10 grand bikes.
Yeah.
Because these bikes, you know what I mean? I was I was riding them. I think I'd just been riding some 10 grand bikes, and then I came out, we were out testing together like 2 or 3 times on these bikes, and I was like, I can't see the jump from 3 to 10.
No.
Like, you mean, I think the diminishing returns happen way earlier than, like, they don't come at 7 grand, they come at like 4.
Yeah.
And then basically it just falls off a cliff.
Well, basically what they've done is, like, Canyon's learnt from making the higher spec bikes how to make this bike. So it's based on the carbon fiber bike, the CF bike they make. Yeah. And what they've done is they've got rid of the flip chip, so they just put the bike into the low setting. Yeah. So you get all of that,
which is the one everybody uses.
Yeah. So you get all of that good stuff. You get like the proper geometry for descending, but you don't pay the premium price for it. You get it on the cheap. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, 3 grand still a lot of money for a bike, but like the level of performance is unreal from it.
Yeah, it's killer. It really is good.
Cool. I think we should maybe move on to the bike that just kind of
the winner.
Yeah. It just pipped it basically, and it did just pip it.
Yeah, it was so close. Like,
they're close on paper, and they were close in the test too.
For sure.
So Jamie, dispense with the Canyon.
Yeah.
What we moved on to?
Okay, this is the winner. So this is the YT Capra Core 2 GX bike. Okay. Which, surprise, surprise, means it has a SRAM GX drivetrain. Yeah.
So we've got this bike in the SRAM cam with SRAM brakes and the SRAM drivetrain. That's right. And the Canyon was in the Shimano cam, Shimano drivetrain, Shimano brakes.
Yeah. So, but that's true. You have to pay a premium for this though. So this is £200 more, this bike. For which,
as in a premium over the Canyon.
Yeah, a premium over the Canyon. So it's 200. You pay £200 more. So the Canyon is £3,099, and this is £3,299. And for that, you get the SRAM GX drivetrain. And
I'd say it's better.
Yeah, 100%. Like, the shifting is slightly firmer, but on the paddles, but I don't have a problem with that. Like I like a firm shift like that. But it was totally reliable and totally silent, and that goes together with this bike really well. It's like a ninja, this bike. It's so quiet.
It's really quiet.
And a lot of that's down to the drivetrain. So I'd say that's worth having.
It's worth the extra money, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
So when we're talking travel, what are we looking at on? Again, it's a mullet bike, but have we got a 170 fork on the front?
170 fork, 170 mil travel on the rear, which you only get with the mullet bike here. If you want the 29er, it's 165.
So it's a 29 version of this bike, slightly less travel in the rear.
That's right. So 170 front and rear. The frame is remarkably similar again. It's like an alloy frame. The only difference really is that you get the yoke driving the shock like that, whereas on the Canyon
it comes from an extension.
It's driven directly from the seat stay.
In theory, that gives them a little bit more flexibility in this bike to tune the rate.
Yep, and a really cool thing is that it also gives them an opportunity to drop in the flip chip, so you can.
So it's got a flip chip in the shock eyelet here.
That's right. Yeah.
So you can change the geo.
So we're talking
like just ran it in the low setting.
Yeah, I did. No, actually, no, that's not true. Actually, most of the time I had it in the low setting, but I also tried it for Surrey in the high setting, and it does make a difference because it just kind of loads the front wheel a little bit better.
The other thing that I noticed when we first rode these bikes together, what made a big difference was it kind of came with the wrong tires, didn't it?
Oh my God, totally.
When we talk about, you're talking about riding Surrey, that's what jogged my memory. Yeah. And I was actually like, It's kind of double-edged sword, wasn't it? Because it came with like dual compound, maybe exo. Was it exo casing? Not even exo plus.
Exo casing.
So quite a hard compound, quite a thin casing. Obviously helps the bike on the scales. But what was really surprising that I actually liked it when we rode in Surrey, because I was like, I've got all the travel, I've got the grip from the travel, and the tires are fast. So like I felt kind of strong, and it felt efficient.
Yeah, that's fine. That's cool. But I really, really don't want to see them on a 170mm travel enduro bike. They're like, you take them to Bike Park Wales or somewhere rougher and steeper, and they are going to get shredded, and you're going to break the wheels.
Well, you're not going to get. You're probably not get a run in without puncture.
Yeah, you're going to do 2 corners, and you're going to hit something sharp, and you're going to be pushing down the hill.
So much as I liked it for being overbiked for Surrey, it was a good compromise. It's not really what you'd expect on a bike like this.
And I think actually YT have taken note of that. I think going forwards they are going to be speccing the Exo Plus, the new Exo Plus tire, casing tire. So that's great. So I used the stock tires for maybe 2 rides. Put a ding in the rear wheel, and then switched the tires to our
maybe we should have switched the tires earlier.
Should have done that straight away.
Yeah, so we had Maxxis control tires, which we have on all the test bikes. And for anyone that's kind of like not familiar with what we do, it's basically it's the biggest variable on a bike. So we swap them out, we eliminate it. It basically levels the playing field in terms of weight, it makes it easier to measure the geometry, and also it's way easier to test. You're testing the bike, not the tire.
Takes away that variable, doesn't it?
Totally.
But and then I put it back to stock to do the video, but I didn't put the rear stock tire on because I couldn't make it fit.
The Canyon had a X2 shock. And this one's got the new Float X.
That's right.
How did the rear suspension feel in this bike compared to the Canyon?
Well, considering how similar the bikes are on paper, it's a totally different ride feel. Like the rear shock on this bike is so plush and supple. It just like sits into its travel and just grips, and that has such a huge effect on how the bike rides. It's just unbelievable. It's night and day. You can get on amazing high lines, you can get grip on off camber where you never thought you'd get grip before, and it means that this bike is super fast on anything rocky, anything like janky.
Kind of rougher the better, really.
Faster, rougher, better.
I also found that when we were in Bike Park Wales, was that when we rode those kind of steeper tracks where we kind of thought the Canyon was maybe pushing too much onto the fork, because this bike was kind of plush at the front, plush at the back, you sort of sat a little bit more like in the travel at both ends, and it just felt more balanced.
The balance is better, the balance is better for sure. It actually, interestingly, the frame is going to help with that as well, because YT actually has 2 different rear ends, 2 different chainstay lengths to go with the different sizes. So if you're an XL or XXL, you get a slightly longer chainstay, and the smaller sizes get a slightly shorter chainstay.
So you've got adjustable geo with the flip chip, and then you've also got, it's not size specific because it's not on every size, but it's kind of split between the size range.
It's kind of like
shorter on the smaller sizes, longer on the larger sizes.
And they're not dinky chainstays either. Like the Canyon is like a 425mm chainstay, so it's quite short. Whereas here you get 442 on the XL and the XXL. So it's like,
which maybe even puts you in a better position for climbing and stuff too, because your rear end's your back wheel's not so tucked underneath you.
And for descending, I'd say as well. So like
stability.
It's super confident going downhill. Like it really is fast, and then that's the general feel of the bike. It's really composed. It's really quiet. It's really calm. And it's really fast. So it's a great for enduro racing.
I thought it was a lot of fun, basically. And like, what's the deal with this?
So that's the side wing, side wing, not the side arm, because that's where Specialized have. This is the side wing.
It's kind of inspired, isn't it, by sort of Specialized and Orbea, really?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I guess it's there to lend the bike some stiffness.
And allow you to get
a water bottle in, and to make it so you can only take the water bottle out on the left-hand side, which kind of bugs me. It's a little bit of a bugbear. I mean, I'm actually left-handed, but I've got so used to using my right hand to take the bottle out that seems where it should be.
But still, it's great that there's a bottle cage on there, and you can get a bottle in your bike, and that's like, I really like having that on all the bikes.
Yeah, totally.
It's a great feature. So we're really splitting hairs between these 2 bikes.
I scored them the same.
Okay, so they're both 9 rated bikes.
Yeah, and I spent a long time actually thinking about, and I spent a lot of time riding the bike that I thought wouldn't be the winner, the Canyon, because I was trying to figure out, exactly why it wasn't quite as good in my mind as the YT. So they're so close, and in the end I had to give it to the YT. because it's more versatile, I thought.
Yeah.
So you could run it as a trail bike. You can change the geometry. You can make it a bit higher and a bit steeper.
Yeah. And it comes with the trail bike tires.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So like you could do that. You know, like you could, or you could get better tires. You could go enduro racing if you've got the better tires. You've got more versatility to change things, and you could put a spacer into the shock if you wanted to make it a bit more progressive. If you want it to be a bit punchier for like
jumps
the bike
and stuff,
park,
bike parks, and
so it's like it's more things to more people. So that's why I gave it to them.
And the reason why I didn't get a 10?
It's probably too much money compared with the Canyon. Like it's £200 more. And also, if you're going for those better tires, that's another £160.
Yeah,
so
prices,
that's £360 more if you want it to take it to the same spec, well, kind of, as the Canyon. So that's why I didn't give it a 10. It's not perfect.
So if YT had delivered this bike to us and to the consumer with the correct tire specification for the application, it'd have been a 10 bike.
Yeah, that's true. I'd say so. Yeah, or if they could have lopped off £500 and left it, cut off that price as well, then maybe then as well, because it's currently sale £2,799.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot of bike for the money.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a steal.
Amazing,
sure.
amazing.
Yeah, I'd have both though. I mean,
it was a tough test. I mean, that's why I came out with you so many times.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I can see why this is difficult, because like both bikes are really close and they're both really good. So as you can tell, Jamie and I had a real hard time basically trying to figure out which one of these two bikes. And ultimately, Jamie had to make that decision because it was his test, even though I tested the bikes. So if you'd like to let us know in the comments which one of these two bikes you'd prefer, we'd love to hear about it.